Marcus Cole was 40 years old when his wife cleaned out everything he had built. Not just the money, not just the house. She took the version of himself he had spent 12 years constructing, brick by brick, decision by decision, and she handed it to another man like it was something she had found at a yard sale. Her name was Vanessa. His name was Derek. And for exactly 14 months before she filed those papers, the two of them had been building something together that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with math. Marcus walked away with his truck, a set of drafting tools he'd owned since college, and a black leather journal so full of notes that the spine had cracked down the middle. Vanessa told Derek he'd dissolve, that Marcus was the kind of man who absorbed pain quietly and disappeared into it, that he would grieve and go silent and never be heard from again. For 2.5 years, it looked like she had read him exactly right. Then, on a Wednesday morning in late September, Vanessa opened her laptop to check the news. And the first thing she saw was his face. Before we get into this story, drop a comment and tell me where in the world you're watching from. And hit subscribe, because tomorrow's video is one you genuinely cannot miss. The duplex on Carver Street had good bones. Marcus had said that the first time he walked through it, 7 years before the morning everything changed. He had said it the way engineers say things, not as an opinion, but as a fact he had already confirmed through his own quiet process of observation. The foundation was poured concrete. The load-bearing walls were where they were supposed to be. The roof had another decade in it, maybe more with the right maintenance. Underneath the carpet that smelled like 30 years of other people's lives was original hardwood that would come back beautiful with the right attention. He bought it. He renovated it himself, weekend by weekend, room by room, until the duplex looked like what it had always been underneath the years of neglect. The kind of place a person could actually build a life inside. That was how Marcus approached everything. He was a civil engineer by training and by disposition. He had been working for the past 9 years at Ashford and Pierce, a mid-size infrastructure firm that handled municipal contracts, bridges, drainage systems, roadway assessments, the kind of structural work that kept cities functional and never made headlines. He was a senior project engineer now. His name appeared on a lot of documents. It did not appear in many conversations. That particular invisibility, the kind that only registers when something goes wrong, suited him fine. He got out of his truck on a Tuesday evening in early October and stood for a moment on the front walk, looking at the porch he'd rebuilt in the second year. The column detail he'd matched
Looks good. We're clear to pour the
design.
foundation on the east
door
side.
he'd rehung himself because the original sat 3 degrees off plumb, and it bothered him every single time he came home. His father, Raymond Cole, had instilled something in him young that Marcus had never been able to
Structural integrity
shake.
looks good here.
A man's work is the most honest thing about him.
What about
Not
the load-bearing
his words,
walls
not
on
his
level 4?
intentions. His work, what he actually built, what he actually fixed, what he actually showed up and did. Marcus believed that the way some people believe in gravity, not because someone proved it to him, because every time he tested it, it held. He went inside. The kitchen light was on. Vanessa was at the counter with her phone in both hands. She looked up when he came in with the particular expression she'd been wearing a lot lately, the one that was warm on the surface and somewhere else underneath. "Hey," she said. "Hey." He set his bag by the door. How was the showing?
What's wrong?
Fell through.
You seem quiet.
She didn't elaborate.
It's nothing.
Her
I'm
real
fine,
estate
really.
career, NV Properties, a personal brand she'd launched 18 months ago with $11,000
What was that?
from their joint savings.
Nothing, just putting
and
my
his
phone
full
down.
support, had a lot of showings that fell through. He didn't say that. He never said that. I was thinking takeout tonight. I can cook. There's chicken in the fridge. Takeout's fine. She was already scrolling again. He moved to the refrigerator and began planning the meal anyway, because that was what he did. He assembled it quietly while she sat at the counter with her phone face down whenever he looked over. They talked in the way of people who have stopped listening to each other, but still remember all the right sounds to make. That was when he noticed it. He was running water at the sink, his back to her, when it came to him, not as an alarm, but as the small wrongness that his training had made him automatically
We don't have
register.
much time. He
The
knows
kind
you
of
were
thing
there.
that didn't match the rest of the room.
Stop
A
this
smell.
and listen to me.
Faint, settled. The way a scent settles after the person wearing it has been gone long enough for the air to absorb it but not yet disperse it. It was not his cologne. He ran the water a moment longer. He turned it off. He reached for the dish towel. Behind him, Vanessa's phone buzzed once. He heard her silence it immediately. He began to cut the chicken. Marcus had a habit his colleagues ribbed him about. He kept records of everything. Not obsessively. Not anxiously. The way an engineer keeps records because the work requires accuracy, and accuracy requires documentation, and documentation requires the discipline to do it even when nothing seems wrong yet. He documented job sites. He documented structural observations. He documented the renovation work on the Carver Street duplex, with photographs organized by date in a folder on his laptop that he still opened sometimes. He did not expect that habit to save him. The home tablet had been slow for 2 weeks. He had been meaning to look at it. On a Thursday morning, while Vanessa was at the gym, he finally did. He sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and worked through the settings with his usual patience. Found a sync conflict between his personal account and the shared household account they'd set up years ago. He tapped to resolve it. The screen populated. It wasn't his data. He understood what he was looking at in the slow, sequential way that understanding sometimes arrives, not all at once, but in pieces, each one clicking into place before the next one comes. A message thread, Vanessa's. The contact name at the top was 2 letters, DK. He should have closed it. There is a moment, brief, unrecoverable, where a person can choose not to know something. Marcus Cole sat at the kitchen table in the house he had renovated with his own hands, and he let that moment go by. He read every message in the thread, 14 months of them. This was not the language of something new and electric, not the breathless shorthand of people who couldn't believe what they were doing. This was something else entirely. Settled, practical. The back and forth of people who had already made their decision and were working through the logistics. DK was Derek Kwan. That name appeared in full in one of the earliest messages, then contracted into a style, confident, brief, economical. The kind of man who communicated like someone who expected to be understood without having to repeat himself. A property developer. Marcus could tell from the texture of the messages. References to timelines, project financing, permits, a condominium conversion he was working on the northeast side of the city. And references to Marcus. Not by name at first. Your husband, the situation, the arrangement. The language of a man who viewed other people as entries in a ledger. Derek had laid it out with the calm precision of someone walking through a project plan. My guy on the legal side knows how to structure the asset claims. We time the filing after Q2 so the income projections work in your favor. The business you told me he's been planning, that's speculative future income. Garrett knows how to put a number on it and get it in front of a judge. Garrett, her cousin, also apparently a family law attorney. Marcus set the coffee cup down carefully. He scrolled further. 6 months of near-daily messages in the middle of the thread. The architecture of an exit, constructed methodically. Derek advising. Vanessa confirming. The two of them calibrating timing, language, and strategy the way you calibrate a project plan, identifying variables, managing risk, sequencing steps. This was not a record of an affair. It was a record of a business decision. The affair was incidental. The business decision was the point. Near the bottom of the thread, 4 months old, he found the message that he would not forget for the rest of his life. Vanessa had written it. Short, certain, no particular cruelty in it. And the absence of cruelty was its own kind of cruelty, because cruelty would have suggested she had thought about how it would land. He won't come at this the way a man with an ego would. He's going to be hurt and he's going to go quiet. That's who Marcus is. That's always been who he is. Marcus read it twice. Then he picked up his phone, opened the camera, and began photographing every message on the screen. Methodically, top to bottom. He scrolled and photographed again. He did not stop until the entire thread was documented. Then he closed the app, set the tablet on the table, and sat with his hands flat in front of him. Outside, a neighbor was mowing their lawn. The sound was distant and ordinary. The kitchen was the same kitchen it had been 20 minutes ago. Same cabinets he had installed. Same countertop he had sealed twice to get the finish right. Same window above the sink, where the morning light came in around 7:15. He sat in it and let himself understand the full weight of what he now knew. That night, after Vanessa went to bed, he opened the household savings account on his phone. He had trusted her to manage it. He had said that to himself so many times over the years that it had become a reason not to look rather than an expression of genuine trust. The account should have held $52,000. It held $7,400. He sat with that number for a long time before he tapped into the transaction history. The withdrawals were spaced out, irregular amounts, irregular intervals, nothing that would trigger an automatic alert. They had started 13 months ago. They had not stopped. Each transfer went to the same external account. He ran a search on the account reference number. An LLC came back. NV Properties Holdings, registered under Vanessa Holloway, her maiden name. Co-registered with Quan Development Partners, Derek's company. Marcus set his phone face down on the table. He did not move. The kitchen was dark except for the range light he always left on. A small, steady amber glow. He sat in it. He did not sleep. Marcus drove to work the next morning the same way he always did. Same route. Same left turn off Brentwood onto the bypass. Same radio station he kept low enough to think over. His mind worked the way it always worked when something needed processing. Quietly, from the inside out, the way a foundation settles. He did not indulge the anger yet, though it was there, low and steady, like a hum you feel in the walls before you hear it. What he needed was an attorney. Not just any attorney, the right one. He waited until he was parked in the garage at Ashford and Pierce before he pulled out his phone. He thought of James Whitmore, a structural consultant he'd worked with 3 years ago who had navigated a divorce that should have destroyed him and came out the other side with his retirement and his dignity intact. Marcus had always remembered that, not knowing why he'd filed it away. Maybe he had just been paying attention. He called James. The conversation lasted 6 minutes. "She's not cheap," James said, "but she's the reason I still have my 401k. Her name's Catherine Reeves. Call before lunch, she fills up fast." Marcus called at 8:52 in the morning. A cancellation slot opened at 4:30. He took it. He got out of the car and went to work. The retainer was $4,000. He paid it from an account Vanessa had never seen. A savings account he had opened at a credit union when he was 24. The year his father Raymond sat him down and said something Marcus had carried ever since. A man keeps something for himself. Raymond had said it plainly, the way he said most things. Not because he doesn't trust the woman he's with. Because he respects himself enough to know that life doesn't always move the way you plan it. That account isn't a secret. It's a foundation. Every structure needs one the other walls don't know about. Marcus had added to it slowly over the years. A few hundred here, a few hundred there. It wasn't a large account, but it was exactly enough for exactly the kind of moment his father had described, without knowing which moment it would be. Catherine Reeves' office was on the 11th floor of a building downtown. She was a tall woman in her early 50s with silver-streaked hair, and a way of reading documents that made you feel she was absorbing every word simultaneously rather than sequentially. She went through Marcus's phone screenshots without interrupting him once. When she finished, she set the phone down. "How long married?"
Understood.
6
I'll make the
minutes.
necessary adjustments
Has she
and get back to you.
Not yet. Then we move first. She picked up her pen. "Tell me everything."
Miss Reeves, thank you for
Don't
taking my
leave out the
call.
parts
I'd like
that
to
are
schedule the
uncomfortable.
appointment for Tuesday
I
morning.
need the complete
Tuesday
structure.
works.
Excellent.
He told
We'll
her
confirm the
everything.
details via email.
He went home that evening and made dinner. He did this for the next 3 weeks. He cooked. He asked Vanessa about her day. He watched television beside
Remember
her on the
when we
couch
tried to
they
make
had
coffee
picked out
like this at
together
home?
a furniture showroom 4 years
It tasted
ago.
like burnt
He
tires.
performed nothing.
We almost set
He
off the
simply
smoke alarm.
continued, calm,
The world
unhurried,
won't give you
giving
anything,
her
Marcus.
no reason to
You have to
accelerate
earn
whatever
it.
timeline Derek had
Understand
designed.
that now,
In the mornings
and you'll be
before
all
she
right.
woke, he worked. He documented everything the way he documented a job site. Date, source, file name, location. He organized the financial records chronologically. He cross-referenced the LLC's registration date with the first withdrawal from the joint account. He found 2 of Derek's development properties in the public deed database, and trace the ownership chain back through the filing history until the pattern
Welcome to
was
the 11th floor,
unmistakable
Marcus.
and
It's a
clean.
pleasure to finally
He
meet you in
emailed
person.
everything to Catherine.
The view
in
is
encrypted
impressive,
folders.
Catherine. Thank you for
Her
having me.
acknowledgement was always the same two words: received. Good. The divorce papers arrived on a Friday morning, not at the house, at Ashford and Pierce.
The board
A
requires
process server
immediate
came to the front
clarification
desk
on the budget
and
overrun.
asked for Marcus Cole
What is
by
the
name.
status?
And the entire handoff happened in the small lobby where his
Then we
colleagues
move
passed
first.
through all morning with coffee cups and laptops. The server handed him a manila envelope.
It's lovely
with the return
driving with you,
address of
Marcus.
Garrett Holloway,
Thank you.
Attorney
We're
at
almost
law.
there.
Marcus signed the acknowledgement. He thanked the server. He returned to his desk. He understood immediately what it was, not just the filing, but the delivery. Serve him at work, in front of people. Make it public in the smallest possible way. Establish from the very first moment that he is the one reacting and she is the one with the initiative. It was an opening psychological move. The kind of thing a developer who had spent years maneuvering around people understood instinctively. Marcus opened the envelope, read the filing from the first page to the last, and forwarded a copy to Catherine by end of day. The divorce lasted 8 months. Garrett was thorough. He was aggressive in the careful, professional way of someone who had been given a story he believed and intended to press every advantage it gave him. He argued the duplex, the joint savings, the speculative value of a consulting practice that existed entirely inside Marcus's leather journal, pages of notes and plans he'd been keeping for 5 years. He argued that those notebooks constituted evidence of future earning potential subject to marital division. The judge agreed on the duplex, agreed on most of the joint savings. The consulting practice valuation was contested, fought down, eventually reduced. But the fight cost months of litigation and legal fees that drained the foundation account until almost nothing was left. When it was over, Marcus had his truck, his drafting
Received.
tools, his engineering license, and the crack spine journal. He moved into a one-bedroom apartment on the east side of the city.
This is
The
delicious,
carpet
Van.
was the color
I'm glad
of
you
old
like it.
clay.
It's been a
The
long week.
radiator knocked
It has.
every night at 2
But moments
a.m.
like this
something trying
make
to
it
get
worth
out.
it.
He set his journal on the kitchen counter the first night. No table yet, just the counter, a lamp on the floor, and a box of his things against the wall. He stood in the middle of the room and looked at it. He incorporated Cole's structural consulting 23 days later. 2.5
Still
years.
standing.
Not easily, not quickly. But they pass the way
Keep
time
going.
passes when a man has decided to stop waiting for conditions to
understand.
be right and simply build in the conditions that exist.
Thank
One
you for telling me,
contract,
Dad.
One project. One delivered
Based on the evidence
proposal
in
at
this
a time.
binder, the liability
The
is
first
clear.
year was the hardest,
I agree.
which is true of
The
most
timeline
foundations.
supports our argument for
He took
damages.
every contract Cole's Structural could physically complete. Residential inspections, small commercial assessments, a foundation evaluation for a
If
community
we place
church
this
that
acrylic
paid
section
him
here, the light
$1,800
refraction should be
and took
perfect.
him 3
Yes,
full
that
weekends.
aligns perfectly with
He
the
wrote
schematic.
every report
Good
himself.
placement.
He filed every invoice himself. He followed up on every outstanding payment himself. He called his father every Sunday. Raymond did not do sentiment over the phone. He did something more useful. He listened with his whole attention and then said exactly one thing.
Did you
Still
finalize the
standing.
presentation for the 10
Still
o'clock review?
standing.
Almost.
Keep going
Just
then.
adding the last few
That
data
was
points
usually
now.
the whole
It should be
call.
ready.
It was enough. The person who made the first real difference was
I'm looking
Priya
for Marcus
Anand.
Cole. I have a
Priya
delivery
ran
for
a
him.
commercial
Do you have an
real
appointment, ma'am?
estate investment group and had been watching Marcus's work from a distance after meeting him at a city infrastructure forum. She hired Cole Structural to assess a 6-story office
Thank you.
building her group was considering acquiring on the south side of the city. Marcus delivered the report 4 days ahead of schedule. He caught a concealed structural deficiency in the 4th floor framing, a load transfer issue that 2 previous contractors had missed, documented it thoroughly, and provided a remediation plan that saved Priya's group an estimated $60,000 in what would have been very expensive future problems. She sent his information to 4 people inside a week. Those 4 people told others. By the end of the first year, Marcus had a municipal contract with the city's public works department, bridge and retaining wall assessment work.
Mr. Davis's
Unglamorous,
negligence cost my
never
client
covered in the news.
everything.
but
It is
requiring
time for
exactly
this
the level
court
of
to hold
methodical
him
precision
accountable.
he had been applying to everything
This
his
binder,
entire
Your Honor,
professional
addresses
life.
the entirety of the
federal
speculative
contract came in
consulting
the second
practice
year.
and the
A
associated savings
highway
accounts for the
infrastructure
duplex.
consulting engagement, competitive, heavily documented. The kind of proposal that required a firm to demonstrate not just technical capability,
The court will
but
now hear the
institutional
witness's testimony
reliability.
regarding the
He
acquisition.
prepared that proposal over 9 weeks.
Page 42,
He treated
second
every
paragraph.
page of it like a structural calculation. No assumptions, no approximations, no rounding in the direction of convenience. He won it. Priya had read the proposal before he submitted it and told him plainly that the other firms weren't going to touch him. He had believed her, but it
We
kept
can't let this
working
stand.
until
He manipulated
11
the
p.m.
jury.
anyway,
I know, Marcus,
because
but we're
that
running
was
out
what
of
the work
options.
required.
The judge clearly
The Wall
favors
Street
their
Review
side.
found him first. A journalist covering infrastructure investment who had heard about the federal contract and reached out on an ordinary Tuesday through his business email. Then a regional business magazine. Then an invitation to speak at a national engineering conference in Chicago.
The prosecution has failed to meet the burden
gave
of
a
proof.
20-minute talk
We
about
ask that the court
structural
recognize the
assessment
undue
methodology
hardship this
and shook
protracted
30
litigation
hands
has
on the way
caused.
out of the room. By the time the Business and Commerce quarterly profile ran, Cole Structural Consulting had 16 full-time employees, 3 active federal contracts, and a reputation that had traveled considerably further than Marcus had pushed it. He had not pushed it at all. He had simply built it correctly and let it become what it was going to be. He was 42 years old. Vanessa was working from home that Wednesday when the notification appeared. She was in the living room of the duplex on Carver Street. The duplex she had won in the settlement, the one Marcus had renovated room by room over 7 years, with her laptop open and a half-drunk cup of coffee on the side table. The notification was from a business news aggregator she followed. Business and Commerce Quarterly had published a new profile piece. She
I have
almost
the
didn't click
incorporation
it.
papers
She
right
did.
here.
The headline,
Once they clear,
Cole Structural,
we can
the firm
finalize
that
the lease
builds
on
what
this
others
space.
miss. The photograph was Marcus, standing at a job site, hard hat, plans in his hand, looking up at a steel frame with the easy, practiced authority of a man who understands exactly what he is looking at. She read the first 3 paragraphs. Marcus Cole doesn't advertise. He doesn't need to. Cole's Structural Consulting, the firm he founded alone in a 1-bedroom apartment after what he will only describe as a period of significant restructuring, has become one of the most sought-after infrastructure consulting practices in the region. 42 employees, 4 federal contracts, revenue that has grown by an average of 80% year-over-year since its founding. I just build things the right way, Cole said. Eventually, the building makes the argument for itself. Vanessa set the laptop on the cushion beside her. She picked up her phone. She called him. He did not answer. She called again. The morning moved the way mornings move when you are not paying attention to it. Minutes accumulated. An hour passed. Then another. She kept calling. She could not explain to herself why she kept calling. There was no plan behind it, no script prepared. There was just the compulsion, the same one that makes a person press on a bruise once they've found it. She called from the living room. She called from the kitchen. She went upstairs and called from the bedroom she had slept in alone for 2 years in the house Marcus had built with his own hands. She called 61 times over the course of 4 hours, and not once did the call connect to anything except his voicemail. His voice on the recording was the same as it had always been. Calm, unhurried. You've reached Marcus Cole. Leave a message.
Based on our
She did not
analysis
leave
of
a
the
message.
community outreach program,
Marcus was in a
the
project
results
review
clearly
when the calls
indicate
came
a
in.
significant
His
positive
phone was on the
impact.
conference table in front of him.
Okay, all right.
face
Tell
down,
Mom I said hi.
The way he always kept it in meetings.
Yeah, I
He
love
was
you too,
3
Dad.
agenda
Talk
items
soon.
deep into a federal contract
Still
review,
standing.
walking his team through a load analysis on a highway interchange they were consulting on in Tennessee. He had a pen. He had a set of drawings. He was doing the work. He did not feel the phone vibrate 61 times. At lunch, he picked it up. A number he recognized. 61 missed calls in a vertical column on the screen, each one a minute or two apart, the last one placed 19 minutes ago. He looked at it for a moment. Then he turned the phone around and held it across the table toward Priya.
I appreciate you taking the time. We should definitely connect again soon.
Glasses and a sparkling water. She looked at the screen. One eyebrow
My
rose.
card. Great to
Slowly,
connect with you, Priya.
Precisely.
Thank you,
The
Marcus.
full
I'll
weight
reach
of
out next
everything
week.
she was choosing not to say compressed into a single expression. Marcus put the phone back
The
in his
drone will
pocket.
give us a clear
I'll have
view
the
of the
grilled
facade's
salmon,
integrity
he told the
before we
driver.
head inside.
And more water when you get a chance. The elevator opened on the 11th floor at 7:40 in the morning, and Marcus stepped out with a coffee and the leather portfolio he had owned since the year after his divorce. Cole Structural's office took up half of this floor now. Glass walls along the south end caught
We have
the
a
morning
serious
light
load
and
transfer
held it,
issue on the
the
third
whole
beam.
space glowing in a
Stop
way
all
that
work
still
in this
caught him off
area
guard
immediately.
sometimes. Not because it was impressive
As you can
in
see,
way
the
of
revised
offices that were
remediation
trying
plan
to
not only
impress someone,
streamlines the process,
because
but
it was
ultimately
his.
saves the group
Because he
exactly
had built it from a cracked
$60,000 over the
spine
next
journal
fiscal year.
and a foundation account that had nearly run dry. He had picked the 11th floor specifically, high enough to see the city's skeleton, the cranes, the frames, the half-finished structures reaching upward from the ground, committed to becoming something. He liked being able to look out and see the work in progress. It reminded him why the work mattered. At 4:45 that afternoon, Priya
Congratulations,
appeared in his doorway
Marcus.
with
We
her
look forward to
jacket
working
on
with you.
and a
Thank
plain
you. We're
manila
ready to get
folder
started.
in her hand. You have a few minutes. Yeah. She pulled the chair across
The
from his
fatigue
desk
cracking here
and
on the
sat
lower
way
cord
she
connection
always
is
sat,
significant.
direct,
We need to
settled,
prioritize this
no
section.
preamble.
Noted. The
She set
deflection
folder
readings
on the
match
desk
the visual
and slid it
strip.
across to him. It's about Derek Kwan, she said. His current position. I've been watching it for a while. She paused. There are things in here you need to see. Marcus opened the folder. The first page was a financial overview. Clean margins.
How do you approach
no
managing a
handwriting.
team with diverse
The kind of
experience levels?
document Priya
I focus on
produced
utilizing
when she wanted
individual
the
strengths
information
and
to
providing
speak
targeted
for
support
itself.
to ensure everyone
He
contributes
recognized
effectively.
the format from the due diligence, reports her investment group, prepared on commercial acquisitions. Derek Kwan Development Partners, as of 7 months ago, carried approximately $28 million in active debt across 8 properties. 3 had been refinanced within
this
the
section
past
right here,
16 months,
the projected market
pulled
share.
against their equity
This
to
is
fund
brilliant,
new
Marcus.
acquisitions.
It's truly
2
exceptional
active
work.
development projects were running an average of 11 weeks behind their investor promised delivery dates. One of his primary financial backers, a private equity group out of Atlanta, had quietly reduced its committed capital on a
It's done.
co-financed project by 35%.
There's no turning back now.
No public announcement. He's running the whole thing on confidence, Priya said. As long as everyone believes the portfolio is performing,
I think
the
this
momentum
support beam
holds.
needs adjustment
But the
here.
actual
Okay,
numbers
I'll
underneath
update the
those
digital model right
projections.
away.
She shook her head once. The foundation isn't what it looks like from the street, Marcus said. No, it isn't. He turned the page. The second sheet was a title search. He recognized the format, property registration codes along the left margin, legal descriptions, ownership transfer dates. He read it twice before he
Welcome
spoke.
to the Wall Street
Walk me
Review.
through it.
It's a pleasure to
Priya
finally meet you
leaned
in
forward
person.
slightly.
If you'll follow me, we
The
can head up to the
LLC,
office.
The one registered
It wasn't
under
about the
Vanessa
immediate
Holloway
returns.
with
It was
Kwan
about
Development
building something
Partners
that
as
would last.
co-registrant.
That
It was
required a
active for
fundamental shift in how we
approximately
approach
6
the
months
market.
total. In that window, it acquired 2 investment properties, a triplex in the Millfield neighborhood and a commercial unit in the Eastridge corridor.
By
She pointed to
optimizing the structural
addresses.
integrity here,
The down
we
payments on
achieved a
both came from the
40% reduction in
LLC's
material
capital
cost.
account.
This isn't
The
just
account that
theory,
transfers
it's the
went
By
into,
embracing these
Marcus
changes,
said.
we're not just
Yes.
adapting,
He
we are
looked at the
defining the
acquisition
future
dates.
of our
The
industry.
first property
That
was
is the
purchased
opportunity
5
before
months
us
before
today.
Vanessa filed for
Congratulations on the
divorce.
talk, Marcus. It
The
was
second,
inspiring.
3 months before.
Thank you so much for coming.
Both
I appreciate
purchases
that.
completed before a single court document existed.
The steel beams
after
need to
the
align
decree,
perfectly with the
he said.
revised schematic here.
8 months after
We already
the
checked
final
the tolerances
decree,
on the
both
tablet.
properties
Good,
were
let's move
transferred
forward
out of
with the client
LLC
presentation.
and into Derek's sole ownership portfolio. Priya's voice was level. The LLC was dissolved 40 days after the second transfer.
We need to ensure the
By
steel
the time
installation
the
stays
divorce
on
was
schedule
legally
for the third
concluded,
quarter.
There was no
According to the
LLC
revised
to
blueprints
audit.
here, we
Just
are
2
slightly ahead of
properties
projection.
sitting clean in Derek's name, purchased with capital that, on paper, never existed inside your marriage. The room was quiet for a moment.
Look here,
Marcus
if we adjust
looked
the
at
flow
transfer
rate,
dates.
we increase efficiency.
Then at the
Right,
original
that solves the bottleneck
withdrawal
we discussed
amounts
yesterday.
He had documented 2.5 years
Great
ago.
job, everyone.
Then at the down payment figures on the title sheet. He was an engineer. He understood load distribution. He understood what it meant when numbers in two separate columns aligned with the precision these numbers were aligning with. Priya, he said. What word would Catherine use for this? Priya looked at him directly. I already called her. Off the record, before I put this folder together. A beat. She used the word actionable without hesitating. Marcus closed the folder. He set it flat on the desk with both hands resting on top of it, the way he rested his hands on blueprints at the end of a review. He did not speak for a moment. He was not suppressing something. He was organizing information. There was a difference, and Priya, who had known him long enough to understand the difference, did not rush him. Set up a meeting with Catherine, he said. Tomorrow, if she has it. I'll call her tonight. Thank you. He meant it the way he meant everything, fully, without decoration. Priya stood, straightened her jacket, picked up her bag. She paused at the door the way people pause when they have one more thing they are deciding whether to say. She left without saying it. That was also Priya. Catherine Reeves' conference room did not try to be anything other than a room where work got done. Long table, 8 chairs, a window facing a parking structure. No artwork, no decoration. The room said, "We work here." That was enough. She was already seated when Marcus and Priya arrived. Legal pad, uncapped pen, leading glasses on. She stood to shake hands, brief and firm, and sat back down before they had fully settled. I've reviewed what Priya sent last night, she said. But I want everything. Start from the beginning. Marcus opened his portfolio. He had organized the documentation the way he organized everything, chronologically, with a numbered index on the first page. He walked Catherine through it in sequence. The tablet, the iCloud sync, the message thread. He placed the screenshot printouts in front of her, each one dated and labeled. She read without expression.
The person you are calling is unavailable.
Pace, absorbing rather than reacting.
Please leave your message
Then
after the
financial
beep.
records. 8 months of withdrawals from the joint savings account. 41 separate transactions, each one small enough to avoid triggering an alert.
Yeah,
each
it's
one
nice,
documented.
but
He
honestly,
had
the
photographed
layout
the
is kind of
statements
weird.
himself before Vanessa knew
I told
he
him the
had an
kitchen
attorney.
should have been bigger.
Then the LLC registration.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Vanessa Holloway, registered
Marcus,
owner.
can you hear
Quan
me?
Development Partners,
I need you to call the
co-registrant.
supplier now.
Filing date, 13 months
Marcus,
before
that
the
looks
divorce papers
absolutely
were served.
beautiful.
Then
The
Priya's
colors in the
folder,
brick are
the title
stunning.
search, the
Coming along
acquisition
nicely,
dates,
isn't it?
the down payment amounts, the transfer of both
Oh my
properties
gosh,
into
they look
Derek's sole
absolutely
ownership.
incredible.
The LLC
I can't believe you
dissolution
did this,
40 days
Marcus.
later. Catherine
Where
set
are
down
you?
the pen. She took off her glasses.
I'm
She
in the
looked at the
kitchen.
documents spread across the table.
Are you
2.5
here?
years of careful, methodical
I needed to hear
documentation
your
laid out in
voice.
sequence, and was quiet for a moment.
It's been so quiet
This is a
here
strong
without
civil
you.
case, she said. Fraud. Conversion of marital assets. The LLC structure won't survive scrutiny once a court sees this timeline. The acquisition dates, the amounts, the dissolution. It tells a clear and complete story. She paused. Both names go on the filing. Vanessa as the LLC's registered owner. Derek as the direct financial beneficiary of the arrangement.
You've
That's
reached
what I
Marcus
want,
Cole.
Marcus
Leave a
said.
message.
She nodded and picked up her pen. You said you had a specific question. I do. Marcus folded his hands on the table. Derek Quan is operating a development portfolio on investor confidence. He's over-leveraged. He has at least one major backer who has already quietly reduced their commitment. He let a beat pass. What does a civil fraud filing do to a developer in that position? Catherine did not hesitate. It makes every investor he has pick up the phone, she said.
Based on the
It wasn't a
seismic analysis, we
prediction.
must increase
It
the
was a
steel
statement
allocation
of
for Sector
fact.
4 and the
Delivered
budgetary
the
impact
way
of that
someone
adjustment.
states a
We are
fact
currently
about
reviewing the
load
Q3 projections to
capacity
accommodate the
and tensile
change.
strength.
As you can see by this
Fraud
revision,
litigation
the
attached to a
load-bearing wall
developer's
has been
name
moved here.
is not something
This
institutional
changes the
capital
entire
sits with
dynamic of
comfortably.
the atrium.
They run their own
If we look
review.
at the Q3
They put commitments
projections,
on hold
the
while
growth
they
metrics
assess
are
their
promising.
exposure. They call their
Agreed,
attorneys.
but we need to
Get
consider
it
the
done.
market
A
volatility.
developer operating
This
on
strategy is
confidence
clearly
cannot
working.
absorb that
We need to push
disruption
forward
without
with the
something
expansion
giving way.
into the new markets
The room
immediately.
was quiet. File it, Marcus said. Catherine made a single note on her legal pad. Draft by end of week, she said. One more thing. Marcus leaned forward
The market
slightly.
won't wait for
Garrett
us.
Holloway.
We implement the
I'd
new
like him to
strategy
receive a
now,
courtesy
or
meeting
we lose
before
the
this
advantage
becomes
entirely.
public record. Not to negotiate.
I'll see you in the meeting at
Not
2.
to give him an
Yeah,
opportunity
grab a
to
coffee
respond
first.
to the filing. He was
That was a quick
precise
lunch.
about the distinction. I want him to see the documentation himself, without his cousin's version of events between him and what actually happened. Catherine considered him for a moment. I can arrange that, she said, before we file, later this week. That works. She was already writing. Marcus called his father at 7:30 that evening. Raymond picked up on the second ring. The filing is moving forward, Marcus said. Catherine has everything. She files by end of week. Silence for a moment. The particular silence of a man who had been waiting a long time to hear something and was now sitting with the fact
I'll have
that
the
he
grilled
had heard
salmon.
it. All right, Raymond said. Marcus waited.
The merger goes
I've
through
been
next
holding
month,
something
so
for 2
we need to
years,
be ready.
Raymond said
I
slowly.
agree. Let's review the
Didn't know when
contracts
the
after
right
lunch.
time was. Tell me. A breath. About 8 months before she filed, I went to a Chamber of Commerce dinner. An old friend dragged me. Said there were developers there.
We should
people who might
finalize the
have
Q3
renovation
projections today.
contracts.
Nat?
We're aligned on the
Raymond's
targets,
voice was
assuming the market
even,
holds steady.
unhurried, the
Right.
way it always
Let's review the
was.
risk factors.
Toward the end of the night,
If you look
my
at this
friend
section
brings
here,
someone
the
over.
projections
Good
don't align
suit.
with the market
The
data.
kind of man who walks
see what
into
you
a
mean.
room like
I'll
he
adjust
already
the
bought
model.
part of it. Pause. Derek Kwan, my friend, introduced us. Told him I was Marcus Cole's father. Said you did structural work. Marcus did not move.
How are the Q3
Derek
reports
didn't
looking?
blink.
Almost
Raymond
finalized,
said.
boss.
He put out his
Excellent.
hand
Keep
and
up the
shook
great work.
mine and looked me in the eye and said, Marcus is a solid engineer. Good man. Said it like he was talking about someone he barely knew from a conference. Then he smiled and moved on to the next person. The line was quiet. He shook my hand, Marcus, while he was doing what he was doing. He heard your name come out of my mouth.
As
and
you
he
can see
smiled.
from the 3D model,
Marcus stood
the
at his
cantilever
kitchen
design
window.
is sound.
The city below
What
was
about the
lit and
seismic
moving.
load
He
calculations for
pressed
the
one
11th
hand
floor?
flat against the glass and felt how cold it was. He did not say anything for a long time. Not because anger wasn't there. It was there, steady and low, like a current you feel before you see it. But anger wasn't what was holding him quiet. What was holding him quiet was the specific, terrible clarity of it. Derek had stood in a room with his father, had shaken Raymond Cole's hand, had connected the name immediately to the man he was in the process of hollowing out, and had smiled, had said something pleasant, had moved on. Not because he was reckless, because Marcus had never registered to Derek as a threat. Why did you hold it? Marcus asked. His voice came out steady. Because I didn't know what it would do to you, Raymond said. You were still getting your footing. I wasn't going to hand you something that heavy when the ground wasn't solid under you yet. A pause. Then you got footing, and I kept waiting for the right moment. This
It's
is
about
the
Derek
right
Kwan.
moment, Marcus said. I thought it might be, Raymond said. They stayed on the line another minute without speaking. Two men who had never needed to fill silence to feel close across it. Garrett arrived at Catherine's office the following afternoon at 2:15. He came in a charcoal blazer, no tie, his posture carefully professional. He sat across from Marcus and Catherine and placed his hands flat on the conference table. Not folded, just resting. The posture of a man who wanted to project
He's
that he
running
had
the whole
nothing to
thing on
hide.
confidence.
Marcus placed the documentation in front of him. Same organized stack, same numbered index. He let Garrett read without narration. The room was quiet except for the sound of paper. Garrett read for 12 minutes.
As
When
I
he looked up,
suspected,
his face was
the
not
covenants
face that
attached
had
to the
walked
mineral
in.
rights
I
complicate
didn't know
everything.
about the LLC.
We need to
he said.
renegotiate.
I want you to understand that. I didn't know about the transfers. She came to me after everything was already in motion. He stopped, reorganized.
The due
She
diligence
told me the
phase, as you
marriage
can
had been
see here,
over for
is
2
projected to
years before she
finalize by
filed.
Q3.
That you had
We
both been
anticipate the
going through
integration
the
process will
motions.
then take
That
approximately
Derek,
6 months.
He paused. She told me Derek came into the picture after things were already finished between them two. Marcus looked at him, not hard, just directly. I know what she told you. 3 words with everything in them. Garrett had nothing to put against it. She sat in her car for a moment before getting out. The house looked the same as it had always looked. The small garden along the front walk that Raymond tended every spring without assistance and without wanting acknowledgement for it. She had sat at the dinner table inside that house
What word would
for
Catherine
6
use
years
for
of
this?
occasional Sundays and holiday
Actionable.
meals. She knew
She
how
used
the
it without
kitchen smelled.
hesitating.
She knew which floorboard in the hallway had a creak. She got out of the car and rang the doorbell because she understood without being told that she was no longer someone who walked in. Raymond opened the door. He looked at her the way he had always looked at her, steady, giving away nothing he hadn't already decided to give. He stepped back and let her in without speaking. The dining room table was set with his good dishes. The blue and white ones
Set up a
with
meeting
the
with
gold
Catherine.
rim.
Tomorrow,
the
if
ones
she
had
has
only
it.
ever seen at Thanksgiving.
I'll call her tonight.
The sight of them did something she hadn't expected to her chest. Marcus was already at the table. He stood when she came in, not as a gesture, just as what you do when someone walks into the room. He looked the same. He also looked entirely different. The steadiness had always been there, but there used to be something soft behind it, something that bent toward her. What she was looking at now was different. Not cold, just finished. Like a structure where the last piece has been placed and there is nothing left to adjust. "Vanessa," he said. "Marcus." She sat down across from him. Raymond came from the kitchen with food and set it on the table, roast chicken, roasted vegetables, bread, and sat at the head without ceremony. They served their plates. The first several minutes were careful. She asked about the firm, the project in Tennessee she had read about in the profile. He answered her. Square footage, timeline, the assessment methodology they used. Plain information delivered plainly. She had been bracing for anger the entire drive over. She had rehearsed responses to it. She had prepared
Welcome,
herself
Marcus
for the
and Priya.
confrontation
Please,
she
have a
believed
seat.
she owed him.
Thank you,
There was
Catherine.
no confrontation
good to be here.
respond to. Marcus ate his food and answered
Let's
her
jump right
questions
into the
and was
agenda.
exactly
The
what he
main
had always
points are
been,
outlined on
present,
page 3 of the
unhurried,
report.
without performance.
Excellent.
The absence of anything to push against.
If you look
was
at the
harder
first
than any
page, the
argument
numbered
could have been.
index provides
After
a
the plates were
complete
pushed
overview
back,
of the
Marcus reached
documentation
beside his
enclosed.
chair. He placed a single document on the table in front of her. 8 pages binder clipped. He did not explain it. "Read it," he said. She read it. The LLC, the transfers, the property acquisitions, the timeline of what moved where and when and whose name was where on each document. The dissolution. 8 pages that made 2.5 years of her own decisions visible in a way she had spent considerable energy not looking at directly. It sat there flat and complete, not as a series of individual choices that had each seemed reasonable in the moment. As a sequence, a construction, something that had been planned. When she set the last page down, she didn't look at him immediately. "Derek was the one who structured most of it," she said. Her voice was careful. "He told me it was standard. That it was how people protected themselves financially when a marriage was winding down. It went further than I intended. Vanessa." His voice was not raised. It did not need to be. "You wrote those messages," he said. "I read them.
This is a
You weren't
strong
being
civil
directed.
case.
You were participating.
Fraud.
You were planning." The room
Conversion
was
of
very
marital
still.
assets.
She cried. Not dramatically.
As the
not
registered
kind of
owner,
crying
my
that is
signature
asking
is
for something
required
in
here.
return.
And this
It was
confirms
smaller
I am the
than
direct
that.
beneficiary.
It was the kind that comes when a version of yourself you have been maintaining
What does a
for
fraud
long
filing do
time
to a developer
finally runs
when their
out of
entire
structure to hold it
operation
up?
is built on
She pressed her
confidence?
fingers to her mouth and looked at the tablecloth and cried. Marcus did not move toward her or away from her. He waited, the way he always waited for things to be what they actually
It makes
were,
every
without
investor he
pushing them
has
toward something easier.
pick up the phone.
When it was over, he spoke. "The filing stands.
It-
Derek is the primary target. Your attorney and Catherine will work out what your exposure looks like. That's between you and them." He stood and pushed in his
These
chair.
terms are
This
final.
dinner wasn't a negotiation.
Once we sign,
He
there is
paused
no
with
turning
one hand
back.
on the back of the chair. "Derek told you I wouldn't fight it." His voice
File
was
it.
level. "He was right that I'd rebuild. He was
File
only
it.
wrong about what it would cost him." He said goodnight to his father and walked out. The front door closed. The room was quiet. Raymond did not look at Vanessa immediately. He stacked the
Let's
plates
be
at the
precise,
edge
Garrett.
of the table
This
and
isn't a
folded his
negotiation.
hands and looked
The
up.
data clearly shows the
sat at
truth
this
about the
table for
liability.
6
And you
years,
stand by
he
this
said.
data.
It's
Not
irrefutable.
crudely, just factually. The
That
way
was quite a
walls
night
and
at
floors are
Catherine's.
factual.
I know, I can't
Sit
believe
with
we
what you
stayed up
did
so
in
late.
this house before you
This
leave
morning
it.
light feels
He
amazing.
stood, carried the plates to the kitchen, and turned on the water. Vanessa sat alone in the glow of the dining room light, surrounded by the good dishes with the
Hey,
gold
Raymond.
rims. She
Is
did not
everything
move
all right?
for a long time.
Yeah, I
Part
just,
13.
I wanted to
The
ask you about the
structured
property
GIVS
taxes.
way.
They went up
The
again.
civil fraud filing became public record on a Thursday. Derek found out at 6:45 in the morning. His attorney called before he had
The filing
finished
is
his
moving
first
forward.
coffee. Derek
Catherine has
stood at
everything.
the window of his apartment
She files by
and
end of
listened
week.
with the particular stillness of a man who is certain there has been some mistake. There was no mistake. He pulled the filing up on his laptop and sat down. It was 58 pages. Every page
I've been
was
holding
numbered.
something for 2
Every
years.
transfer was cited. Every date corresponded
Didn't know when the
to a
right time
document,
was.
a bank record, a title filing, a registration, a message. And each document pointed clearly to the next one, the way load-bearing elements in a well-built
The turnout
structure
is
point to
incredible.
each other.
Derek, I'd like to
Derek had
introduce
seen a
you
lot
to
of legal
Ahmed.
filings in his
Ahmed,
career.
this is Derek Kwan.
He had
A
seen
pleasure to meet
aggressive
you.
ones
You
and
too.
sloppy ones and
He
ones
shook my
that looked
hand.
serious but fell
Looked me
apart
in the
under
eye.
pressure.
Said your
This
name
was
out
none of
loud.
those. This was the work of a man
he
who had been
smiled.
building the case the way he built everything else, from the foundation up, with nothing left to assumption, for 2.5 years. He made 2 calls before 8 a.m., the kind of calls that are supposed to manage problems like this. He had relationships. He had been in this business
Why
for
did you hold it?
16 years and had accumulated the kind of
Because you were
social
still getting your
capital that was
footing.
supposed to insulate him. Both calls went the same way.
Then you got
Polite
footing.
at first. Then the careful professional
And I
distance
kept
of men
waiting
who had
for the
already
right
spoken to each
moment.
other, already done the math, already made
This is
their
the right
decision.
moment.
They needed to place their commitments under review
thought it might
pending
be.
resolution of the matter. Derek knew what that meant. He made 2 more calls. They went worse. Marcus Cole's name was in those circles now in a way it had not been 18 months ago. The business and commerce quarterly profile had done what profiles do to the right people. It had made him a fixed point in a network that Derek
Good morning,
needed
Catherine
to navigate.
Marcus.
Garrett,
And
thanks
no
for
one
coming
in
in.
that network
Ready
was
to dive in.
interested in reaching across and smoothing things over for the man named as the primary defendant in a fraud filing against him. By noon, one of Derek's active developments, a mixed-use project he had been sustaining on optimistic timelines and late draws, went into technical default. He spent the afternoon with his attorney. The cleanest path forward required selling. One of the 2 investment properties, the ones purchased with funds transferred out of the marital
I didn't know about the
account,
LLC.
the
I'm
ones
just
now
trying to
sitting in his
sympathize.
ownership portfolio like
Speculative.
evidence, because
I know
that
what
is
she told you.
exactly what they were, had to go.
Thanks again,
It
Catherine.
had to go
Of
fast,
course. Drive
on a
safe now.
timeline
Will
that the
do.
market does
Bye.
not reward, at a price that reflected the urgency rather than the value. He signed the papers that evening. He had acquired that property with money that was not his. He sold it for less than it was worth. The math of that was not lost on him. Part 14, What Gets Built. The civil judgment closed 4 months later. Catherine called
Hello?
Marcus on a Tuesday morning and read him the terms
Oh
the
my
way
God,
she
is
read
that really
everything,
you?
accurately, without drama.
Sunday,
Because the drama was
6
already
p.m.,
in the facts.
my father's house.
Vanessa and
Come for dinner.
Derek were required to
Okay.
liquidate the LLC's
I'll be
remaining
there.
investment property and remit the full proceeds to Marcus, plus interest calculated from the date of the original transfers, plus legal fees. The equity from the Carver Street duplex. The house Marcus had renovated room by room. The house Vanessa had won in the original settlement was applied directly to the fraud recovery calculation. She no longer owned it. Marcus listened to all of it. He said, "Thank you." He set the phone down and sat quietly for exactly 2 minutes. Then he went back to the proposal on his desk. He did not celebrate.
Hey,
He
Vanessa.
called Priya and he called his
Welcome.
father.
Come on in,
Priya
have a seat.
said, "Good."
Thanks, Marcus.
Raymond
it's good to
said
see
nothing
you.
for a long moment and then, "Come for dinner Sunday." That was the whole conversation. Derek's portfolio had contracted by approximately 35% from its peak. He was not destroyed. The math didn't fall that cleanly. But he was diminished, and the diminishment
How is the
was
Tennessee
visible
project
in the
coming
spaces
along?
that had once
It
been
is on
easy.
schedule. We
The rooms he
anticipate
used to walk
completion
into
by
on reputation
Q4.
alone now
Read it.
required more explanation than he was comfortable giving. New investors asked questions that went deeper than they once had. For a man who had built his entire identity on acquiring things, on moving through rooms with the frictionless confidence of someone who had never genuinely lost, the 35% was not a number. It was a mirror. Marcus did not take satisfaction in that. He noted it the
swear
way
I
he
didn't
noted
mean
a
for any
load
of this to happen, and I was
calculation
just trying to
accurately,
help.
Without
You wrote those
sentiment,
messages.
and moved on. Part
You were
15.
planning.
What stands? The scholarship program had been running for 14 months when Marcus stood in Coles Structural's main conference room to present the second annual cohort. 8 engineering students from HBCUs, selected through a rigorous application process, paired with paid apprenticeships inside the firm, mentored directly by senior staff. Marcus had established the program quietly
The
in the
filing
first year,
stands.
had named it before he told his father about it, which turned
This
out to be
dinner
the
wasn't
one
a
part of everything that
negotiation.
made Raymond genuinely uncomfortable. You didn't have to do that, Raymond
Derek
said
said I
at the
wouldn't
first
fight it.
ceremony. I know.
He was right
Marcus
that I'd
said.
rebuild.
Raymond was in the front
He
row
was only
now,
wrong
in the
about what
charcoal
it would
suit
cost
he wore
him.
to church and to graduations, watching
Good night,
his son
Raymond.
move through
Night,
the room
Marcus.
with the
Take
particular
care.
ease of a man who has stopped waiting for permission to be where he is. 8 students, nervous and sharp in their best clothes.
You
8
sat at
envelopes.
this table for 6
Afterward,
years.
when the room had mostly cleared,
Sit with what you
Raymond
did
put
in
his
this
hand
house
on
before you
Marcus's
leave
shoulder.
it.
He held it there. He did not say anything. He didn't need to. 3 weeks later, Marcus was invited to speak at a national infrastructure investment forum. He gave a 20-minute talk about structural integrity, technically, about engineering principles, but in a way that people who had built things and lost things and rebuilt them anyway found
I
themselves
understand
nodding
it's
along
early,
to
but
in
this
a
is
way that had
urgent.
nothing to do with
Wait,
engineering.
what charges?
After the talk,
there must
near
be a
the
mistake.
doors, he met someone. Her name was Simone. She was an urban planner. She introduced herself with her work, not her firm, not her title, just the things she actually did, the way people do when the work is the part they're most proud of. They ended up
Thank you
talking
for confirming that,
45
Mr.
minutes in the
Tanaka.
corridor outside
I've made
the
a
main
note of
hall
the details.
about
We'll proceed
infrastructure
as
funding
discussed
gaps
and circulate the
long-term
revised
community
draft by tomorrow
investment,
morning.
and the difference between building
Commitments
something
under
that
review.
looks finished and
Commitments
building something
under
that will
review.
actually hold. When they finally exchanged cards and walked out into the evening air, Marcus
rebar
drove
isn't
back
holding up.
across the city with the quiet
Derek
of a
cut
man
too many
who has
corners.
learned not to hurry
It's
the
finished.
things worth building correctly. Epilogue: the beam. The job site was on a block that had been a surface parking lot 18 months ago. Marcus pulled up in his truck, tucked his hard hat under his arm, and walked the perimeter the way he
Please review
always
the
did.
settlement.
Thank
Slow.
you.
Reading the frame before he touched anything.
Thank you.
A 9-story mixed-use structure now. Steel and intention rising
Congratulations
toward a
on
sky
your
the color of
scholarship.
cold
We're
slate.
expecting great
He
things
could see
from
where
you.
each beam
Thank you so
connected to
much.
the
We
next.
really
He
appreciate the
could see where
support.
the load was being carried and where it was being transferred and where, if anything was wrong, it would eventually show. Nothing was wrong. He stopped at the base of the frame and placed his palm flat against a beam. Cold.
By
Solid.
prioritizing
Exactly
sustainable
where it was supposed to be.
infrastructure,
He
we are
looked up at
not
the
just
structure
building
above.
roads.
All that
We are
engineered
building a
intention
resilient
made visible.
future for
Holding its
everyone.
weight the way
Hello,
anything built
Marcus.
correctly
I'm
holds
Simone,
weight,
an urban
without
planner
announcement,
specializing
without
in
drama,
sustainable
simply
development.
and completely.
I believe my work
Vanessa had
aligns
said
well
he'd
with the new
disappear into the
revitalization
loss,
project.
that he'd absorb it and
We
go
need to
quiet
secure
and
the
never be
rebar
heard
on
from
the
again.
7th floor
She
before
wasn't
the next
entirely
pour.
wrong. He had gone
Make
quiet.
sure the crane
He had gone
operator
deep.
is ready.
But quiet and disappearing are not the same thing. One is surrender. The other is foundation work. And Marcus Cole had always known the difference. If this story moved you, hit subscribe. More stories like this are coming.